Morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 organizational meeting of the East Hampton Town Board. It's long been the practice for the supervisor to give a state of the town address at the first meeting of the year to assess our current state of the town and present a vision and a path forward for the new year. The state of the town of East Hampton has been one of a declared emergency since March of 2020 due to the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic. Through the coordinated efforts of our town government, working with local charitable organizations, business leaders, and private individuals, we took immediate and decisive action to protect the health and welfare of our residents. Since much of our economy is seasonal in nature, securing a safe and healthy summer season was crucial to the livelihoods of many residents. Our Business Recovery Committee, made up of business leaders and health professionals, was instrumental in helping us adapt to the rapidly changing circumstances and helping our local businesses weather this storm. East Hampton's successful beach operation plan became a model for many Long Island communities and was embraced by residents and visitors alike. The town's Human Services Department has been critical to the well-being of a large segment of our senior population during the pandemic. They have cooked and delivered over 58,000 meals, provided prescription medications and numerous other essential services to many of our seniors. Many of our town staff and other essential workers have shown incredible dedication and resiliency during these difficult times, keeping our local government open and operating safely throughout the year. There is good and hopeful news in the fight against COVID-19, as the FDA has approved 2 new vaccines, which are now being distributed and administered to frontline healthcare workers. I'm hopeful that the vaccine will be made more widely available soon, and that we start to see a return to normalcy later this year. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the availability of COVID testing has been limited. This past spring, we were able to secure COVID testing in East Hampton with the help of the East Hampton Healthcare Foundation. Later, we worked with Stony Brook Southampton Hospital to facilitate testing at Montauk School and later at the East Hampton High School, which is currently ongoing. I'm happy to announce today that we have partnered with Collection Sites LLC to provide a new drive-up COVID-19 testing site in town at Town Hall 7 days a week, beginning this week. The new testing site will offer PCR, rapid, and antibody tests and will accept insurance and credit card payments. A limited number of tests will be made available to those who are uninsured and do not have financial resources to cover the cost. We are also preparing the CDCH building for use as a possible COVID vaccination site or for additional testing if needed. While addressing the COVID-19 pandemic has occupied much of the focus of town government, we continue to address many of the other issues and initiatives that are important. The subject of police reform and reinvention has become a central issue in our nation, our state, and our local town. In a year already filled with distress and anxiety, we saw events unfold across our country that have forced us to acknowledge and confront deep-seated and systematic racial inequalities and injustices. This past summer, the killing of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and far too many others sparked protests across our country and around the world. Several peaceful protests occurred here in East Hampton and our surrounding communities. These protests were an expression of one of the most revered parts of our democracy, the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for the redress of grievances. In response to these nationwide events, the governor of New York has required all municipalities to have police departments undertake an in-depth review of policies and procedures and to engage in an active and open dialogue with the communities they serve. While many of the community policing policies and procedures now required by the state are already in practice here in East Hampton, we strive to continually do better. Fair and unbiased enforcement of our laws is essential to maintaining trust and understanding between our police and the communities they serve. The town board has held the first public listening session about policing in East Hampton. We have requested the community comments and will be circulating a policing survey throughout the community. The Police Reform Committee will work with the town board to develop a plan to address community concerns. After a public hearing, the board approval, the plan will be submitted to the state. Additional issues my administration is committed to are the renewable energy, energy conservation, and sustainability. East Hampton's efforts towards achieving our 100% renewable energy goal in order to reduce negative impacts on the environment and the consequences of climate change have continued to move forward. The East Hampton Town Board and town trustees working together have negotiated access and community benefit agreements with South Fork Wind LLC that will deliver clean, renewable offshore wind energy to East Hampton, along with over $29 million in revenue during the next 25 years. These funds will be dedicated to advancing our transition to clean, renewable energy, as well as local environmental restoration projects. This past November, we passed authorizing legislation enabling community choice aggregation. This legislation allows the town to procure power on behalf of our residents, businesses, and municipal accounts from an alternative supplier while still receiving transmission and distribution service from their existing utility. By choosing renewable energy sources, we incentivize the transition from fossil fuels and further protect public health, the environment, and our climate. This year, the town entered into a power purchase agreement with the New York Power Authority for the state's first combined solar battery storage project at a municipal building. Construction is expected to begin this spring. The energy credits received from the system's power go toward offsetting the electrical costs at East Hampton's Town Hall. We have received a $300,000 grant from NYPA, making the project cost neutral. The installation of the town's first DC fast charging electrical vehicle stations is now complete. 12 charging stations in Montauk were installed by Electrify America and Tesla at no cost to the town. This expands the town's public EV charging infrastructure, which includes 10 level 2 charging stations at Town Hall and in Amagansett. In addition to the charging stations, the town board recently adopted a fleet efficiency policy for the procurement of electric, hybrid, and more fuel efficient municipal vehicles for use by town employees. LED lighting upgrades were completed at 4 more municipal buildings at no cost to the town. Off-grid LED solar lighting was also installed in Amagansett municipal parking lot there. These LED upgrades projects total an energy savings of almost 400,000 kilowatts at an annual cost savings of over $80,000 for taxpayers. The town's Energize East Hampton initiative continues to sign up residents for free home energy audits. Our Solarized East Hampton campaign has resulted in the installation of 35 new rooftop solar systems in 2020. We will continue both programs in 2021. To enhance community outreach, it's been particularly important during the pandemic. We have increased our presence on social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The town's website has been improved and now contains links to the latest information about COVID-19, vaccine distribution, business grants, forms, and other information. You can sign up for alerts. Visit ehamptonny.gov to learn more. We've undertaken several long-term planning efforts, which are now producing results. Hamlet studies were adopted in May of 2020. This multi-year effort engaged stakeholders throughout the town to help identify issues and make recommendations to improve the business districts in various hamlets. The adopted study recommendations are now part of the town's comprehensive plan. Work to begin implementing the hamlet plans is underway. We've engaged consulting engineers to assist us in creating both an erosion control district and a wastewater district in downtown Montauk. The erosion control district will interface with the Army Corps of Engineers Fire Island to Montauk Point FIMP project, which includes a sand replenishment project that is expected to pump 450,000 cubic yards of sand onto the downtown Montauk beach beginning this October. This is an intermediate solution, which will allow more time for our coastal assessment and resiliency planning effort, known as CARP, to develop a more sustainable adaptation to sea level rise and storm inundation. This would include moving critical infrastructure further inland. Another consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic has been an increase in demand for communication services. Online access and wireless services have become vitally important for online schooling, remote working, and home entertainment streaming. East Hampton's infrastructure and connectivity has been stressed, and while the town's not responsible for providing internet and wireless services, we do play a role. The newly formed Wireless Communications Committee will be working with our outside engineering consultants to rewrite the town code to reflect changes in the FCC regulations to help identify coverage gaps and develop a comprehensive plan to alleviate them. We recently approved the siting of 2 new cellular towers on town property to help alleviate some of these coverage gaps and capacity issues. The multi-year emergency communications upgrade project has now been virtually completed, and the system is being optimized and is expected to go online in spring of this year. Last January, in my 2020 State of the Town address, I said that maintaining healthy fund balances will help buffer the impacts of unforeseen events and expenses. Clearly, none of us had any idea what that might be. We'd always thought that perhaps a major hurricane would cause such problems, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the town has had numerous unanticipated expenses, such as the need to enhance cleaning protocols, to purchase personal protective equipment, and expand human services. We have provided for the health, safety, and welfare of our workers, residents, and visitors alike. There's also been a loss of non-tax revenues because of the pandemic. The town's healthy fund reserves allowed us to meet these 2020 budget shortfalls and still deliver a 2021 budget below the state mandated 2% cap on tax increases. I'm also happy to report that even with the additional financial demands, the town's AAA credit rating was reaffirmed by Moody's bond rating agency this past summer. We'll be discussing an update of our 3-year capital plan later this month. Capital borrowing for 2021 is currently projected to total about $9.5 million. This year, we will be retiring over $12 million in debt, resulting in a net drop of indebtedness of $2.5 million. Some of the notable projects we will work on in 2021 include planning and building a new senior center and renovating the town marine museum and the Springs Library. Aircraft traffic and noise has continued to increase unabated year after year. The FAA, through grant assurances, has exerted complete control over virtually every aspect of the town airport. Prior to the FAA granting assurances expiring this September, we will collect data on the economic contributions of the airport and demographics of users. We will also consider the negative impacts of the airport along with possible restrictions and alternative uses. Our goal is to have an honest and fact-based dialogue with all stakeholders within the community to gain meaningful relief for the ever-growing multitude of people whose quality of life is adversely affected by aircraft noise. We are committed to protecting and improving water quality throughout East Hampton. The town's CPF water quality improvement grants totaled nearly $2 million in 2020 and have funded numerous projects, including stormwater remediation, habitat restoration, and wastewater treatment. Our septic system rebate program was highly active in 2020 with 246 septic eligibility applications approved and 117 new low nitrogen IA systems installed. Upgrading septic systems is one of the best ways for residents to help protect the quality of our drinking water, ponds, creeks, and harbors. Grant funding covers nearly all the expenses of upgrading your system. $4.7 million is being allocated to continue these programs in 2021. Housing affordability has long been a serious issue in East Hampton. The diminishing inventory of available housing due to the pandemic has further exacerbated this crisis. We will be seeking to create additional affordable housing overlay districts this year. The town has recently acquired several properties which will be developed for housing. This has been a difficult year. The COVID-19 pandemic has infected millions of Americans and has caused the loss of over 350,000 lives in the United States. It has brought about some of the greatest challenges in many generations. As we continue to confront the challenges in the year ahead, it is the resiliency and the depth of caring of our community that truly makes East Hampton a special place to live. I've said this before, I feel honored and blessed to be the supervisor of the town, which comes together to support those in need, gathers to rebuke hatred, seeks to protect its environment, honors its history, and celebrates its diversity. We can rise to any challenge as long as we respect each other and work for the common good. I appreciate the support that I've received from the people of East Hampton, my fellow town board members, our town employees, my personal staff, and from my wife, Marilyn. Let us work together for a better world in 2021. Thank you. Stay well.